Brandon Nimmo moving over to the Texas Rangers, and Marcus Semien moves his way over to the New York Mets. It's a big deal. It's a 1-for-1 deal. There is money that moves. The Mets send $5 million over to Texas. That doesn't offset the total. The Rangers are taking on an extra $25 million over the course of all of this, right? That's important to keep in mind here is Brandon Nimmo has 5 years, $102.5 million left on his deal. Marcus Semien has 3 years, $72 million. So as far as money, the Rangers do save money on the short term since they'll be paying Nimmo a little over 20 a year. The Rangers send over Semien's 26 a year to the Mets. So they'll spend a little bit more short term. They'll save a little bit more long term. And then I want to get to what happens here on the field. Also, wait, quick. Nimmo, no trade clause, says, no, I'm good. I'll go. I know the Mets want to move me. And he gets way richer too, by the way. It's true. Probably makes himself. What do you think, Kratz?
I mean, for him, I think it's probably close to $3+ million.
Like, a year.
Obviously, it's tough because there's New York City tax, there's New York tax. There's none of that in Texas.
Yep.
Now, where his home is, I guess in the offseason, depends a little bit too. Anyway, it's about $3 million a year.
Yeah, and an assignment bonus.
In his pocket.
He gets another $1 million. So he got a lot richer in this deal. Semien had a limited no trade clause, and he didn't have the New York teams on there. And he's cool going to a competitor for the stretch run here. He won a World Series with Texas. We'll see what he can bring to the Mets. Baseball field wise, Rangers need offense. They did some other moves too over the last few days, like getting rid of Adolis Garcia, Jonah Heim, etc. Do you like this for Texas with an offensive boost? And what about the Mets side where they're really preaching that their run prevention was not good enough and they want to be this pristine defensive team starting next year?
Do they want a pristine defensive team because they're not going to go out and spend money on starting pitchers? Because part of it is like if your dudes are out there and they're just gassed and they're not like your bullpen's gassed, your starting pitching was just subpar. I don't care what. It's like playing defense in Colorado. You sit there and you play defense in Colorado and you go, it's a track meet. So your outfielders are going to be exhausted. But so back with the Mets wanting to create better defense. 100%. Big, huge upgrade defensively. I just hope it doesn't mean that they're going to say, okay, we're not going to go get pitching because we upgraded on our defense. Both these dudes are great guys. Both of these dudes are hard workers. Both of these dudes are on the field. Like they both want to be guys who are out there all the time and great teammates, clubhouse, all that stuff is great. I just have a hard time finding the ability for the Mets to get more value than what the Rangers are going to get out of this deal. I know the Rangers need some thump. Is this gonna squash Nimmo's thump? Is going to Globe Life Park going to really suppress his numbers like it's suppressed a lot of guys' numbers recently, including somebody they just non-tendered in Adolis Garcia? Like Adolis, the first few years when Globe Life was like kind of a neutral park, he was El Bomba. And the last few years when it's become more of a pitcher's park, he's become just L. Not even, no Bomba, nothing.
Bombi?
Bombi? I thought it was El Bomba. But anyway. But
El Bombi.
Either way, it's tough for me to see the Mets. The Mets did get better defensively. So if that's their goal, 100% goal, I love it. I don't think they got the most out of this deal from the fact that the Rangers really, really needed some offense, and I think they got it in Nimmo. And I have a hard time believing that the Mets are just going to be like, you know what, we had plenty of offense. We can get rid of Nimmo. They got to add a piece back. They got to add a big piece back.
Yeah, I mean, they're clearly valuing someone who's going to play strong defense at second base for the next few years. I don't think that's disputed, right?
Undisputed. Yeah, I mean, look at what the Blue Jays did. They added a platinum glove defender in Andres Gimenez in a position that, do you need a platinum glove defender? Look what it did. It added to their defense. It added to, and they're paying Andres Gimenez $20 million a year in a few years, part of that contract. So clearly there's a value there. But is Marcus Semien going to play elite level? I forget what his defense. I mean, his defense was almost a 2-WAR defense at second base.
It's up there. It's among the best in baseball.
Is that going to last? Is that going to last for his age 38 season? I should have. All the numbers are flowing through my brain right now. But I think,
he's 35 right now. A pretty fresh 35. He turned 35 in September. So you're going to get his 36, 7, and 8 seasons. I mean, he's great shape. He's always been super durable. He plays. I'm not as concerned about the defense. I'm just like, is this the beginning of a big decline on offense? And what's your threshold, right? If he's below league average now and you're going off everyone's favorite age curve in Major League Baseball, what's your threshold for having a second baseman that plays really good defense? Can he be a 70 OPS plus guy? 75? Like,
I don't think it'll get that low. Maybe I'm being, but I mean, his defense, his offense needs to stay right at a 100 OPS plus. He needs to be average, just an average big league hitter.
Okay.
Because at second base, there is a ton of value there. I'm afraid of his defense getting. Everybody's defense gets worse. Some guys hitting gets a little bit like they change from like that guy who's going to always be able to hit the ball, the ballpark in a certain situation to stays contact oriented. And I think some of his offensive numbers, because he's out there, because he's playing 162, 162, 161, 159, 162, sometimes you're playing through stuff and your offense takes a decline. He's going to be a positive player. I just have a hard time believing that you can take Nimmo out of that lineup when today Pete Alonso is not in that lineup. And there's a chance he doesn't go back into that lineup. So now if you would lose both those guys, where are you going to find that extra? Where are you going to find those? Let's see, Nimmo's homer, 65 home runs. Where are you going to find those on the market?
Kratz, we picked you to talk about MeUndies, not just because they're ridiculously comfortable, but also because they are very festive. When the holiday season hits, you go on the website and there are just so many more designs to check out. And they just scream Erik Kratz getting little matching sets with everybody that he knows.
You know what? They're called MeUndies, not YouUndies. So you go in and you say, this one's for me. This set is for me. This is what is good for me. Not YouUndies, MeUndies. A lot of different ones to choose from.
I'm so confused, but what I do know is that you can knock out all of your holiday gifting needs today with MeUndies, and to get the exclusive holiday deals up to 50% off, MeUndies.com/foul. Enter promo code FOUL. That's MeUndies.com/FOUL. Promo code is FOUL for up to 50% off. Matching holiday prints with your person, you can't beat that.
They might go in a completely different direction with first base.
Okay.
Maybe they're players for Okamoto. Very different profile. I don't know. Just throwing it out there.
It's too much dice rolling. Too much roll of the dice.
But what they had didn't work. So they're
because of their offense, because of Nimmo, because of Pete Alonso.
No, I like Nimmo. I'm agreeing with you. I'm just saying the direction is in the post-season press conference, like after the season ends, the press conference is David Stearns saying run prevention over and over again, and he's referring to them being kind of a bottom third ranked defensive team, 8th highest batting average on balls in play last season, which isn't perfect, but it's there. The stat, it's a tool to help you. 19th in StatCast fielding runs value metric, right? Certain defensive metrics had them in the bottom third of the league, and they want to improve that. I'm with you here. I think you need both. So you got worse offensively, and you got a little bit better defensively. Nimmo was declining on defense in the outfield too. That's fair. He is
okay, but they also
not
put
a
him
good
in left
defender
field
out there anymore. Yeah,
they took him out of center. And so I think, defensive outfielders metrics for what I would consider the middle of the road guys.
Yeah,
positioning plays a huge role in that. But let's just be honest with the Mets. Let's be honest, and I think Mets fans would agree with me. Was it their defense?
No.
So
their pitching.
Like just because somebody comes out at the end of the year, it's like the Phillies last year, not this past season, last year, and they were like, got to change something. They can't run it back. They ran it back, and they had a great year. They didn't win in the playoffs. They lost to the eventual World Series champions. What are you going to change? So without an absolute overhaul, which, hey, you know what? This might signify it's going to be an overhaul. No Pete, no, we're changing our entire MO. You're not changing a ton other than you got to get starting pitching. They're 9 starting pitchers behind the Dodgers. And if you want to win the National League, you have to beat the Dodgers. They're 9 starting pitchers. You got to get 4. You have to do things that make your team better. And just because you missed the playoffs because the Reds caught you, you can't just be like, well, if we would have had just a game shift here or there, we could have been in the playoffs. And who would have started any of the games? Who would have come out of the bullpen and been like, yeah, we got this? No, like they're more than one game out of the playoffs type of team with their starting pitching. I loved this lineup. I loved it with Pete. I loved it with Nimmo. And I think those guys would age well. I think they did really well in the New York market. I think it's something that is, I just think everybody thinks it can't happen again. You're right, it can't happen again. But I think there's a glaring low-hanging fruit that they can just be like, starting pitcher, starting pitcher, starting pitcher. Now let's see. Maybe our bullpen wasn't that bad. Maybe Reed Garrett doesn't blow out because he's not throwing, he's not throwing in situations where he's probably exhausted. While he wasn't throwing it too much, like we discussed the other day, I just think I don't think the Mets are that far. And to just totally revamp and rehaul everything, we'll see.
I think you have frustrated ownership that wants to blow it up a little bit. Not blow it up like rebuild, blow it up like switch it up, because they're like, what happened this past season was unacceptable. Things are about to change. Nimmo's gone. I think there's a chance, to me, there's a message sent here that Pete doesn't come back. I think they're going to hold their line. I just don't think David Stearns loves that profile of player and doesn't care as much about the emotions of this guy works here. This is a franchise guy, should retire with them. I don't think he cares as much about that.